Look, before we get started here, I just want to say something real quick. I know, I understand, I see it too. I know I'm wearing blue today.
And the video is out of focus, I'm sorry about that. This video is plagued with technical issues, just you wait.
If I have to look at this mess, you gotta look at this mess too. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to Quick and Dirty, the series where you hear my unfiltered opinions, although this one might be mildly filtered because it's been marinating in my head pretty much ever since this was announced, like a year ago now? I've also watched not only the release video twice, like the gameplay preview, but I've also watched Arlo's thoughts on what he would like to see out of this game, like what his expectations are. And, I mean, I'm not biased. I want certain things out of this game, and I just can't help that. I'm gonna go ahead and say for the people who need to leave videos like this, that this is probably going to be a more negative video relating to this, so if you're just somebody who's really hyped about this game, who is really excited for it, they don't want to be taken down, you can go ahead and feel free to leave the video, maybe come back later after you've played the game once it's come out, and you just want to hear some, I don't know, contradictory opinions about, I don't know, what we expect the game to be, because obviously, I mean, I'm not getting it on day of release. I'm going to wait and see what people I tend to agree with think. Also, you might be able to hear my cat munching in the background. Of course, she stops as soon as I wait for her to make the sound, but in case you hear my cat munching on her kibble, I'm sorry. She's very cute, she gets to do what she wants. But with that out of the way, let's get into this gameplay preview. The first thing I would like to ask, the biggest question on my mind after watching this video is, what do you fucking do? I mean, I know what you do, I guess. A better way of phrasing that would be, what's the point of the game? Because they show a lot of what you actually do, which is you're going out into the wild, you're trying to throw Pokeballs at Pokemon, sometimes you're battling them, sometimes they shoot their attacks at you personally, not even just your Pokemon. You're out there scavenging, foraging, crafting. You got some boss battles in there, you got some extra strong Pokemon, just for the fun of it. You're reporting back to your town. There's I don't know, you're part of a research lab or a scouting team or whatever that wants you to collect info on Pokemon. So you're also looking at what they're doing, just gathering general intel and relaying that to, your scouting team. You have missions. They tell you a bunch of stuff that you can do in the game, but why? Why are you doing this? They haven't explained that at all. At least if they have, I don't understand it. And maybe that's a me problem, I don't know. But I'm just left legitimately wondering, what is the end game of collecting all this information? Are you just gonna have a full Pokédex? Are you creating the first Pokédex? And if so, why? And they haven't really told us much of what the story's gonna be. I'm just left wondering, what the heck is gonna happen? And I'd like to provide some answers that I think would be really neat, but most definitely are not going to happen. So here are some good options that the game absolutely will not do. They make a big deal of centering you with Mount Coronet, the biggest mountain, the tallest landmark in the entire region. Clearly, this should be, to me, and from a game design perspective, a landmark that the player is working towards. It centers you directionally, means it helps you navigate to other points of interest, and generally, I think because of its prominence, you should probably be working towards that. You should be going to Mount Coronet. That should be, at least partially, the point of the game. It could be really cool, you could be working your way towards it, but it could be really far. You could have to traverse some really dangerous, field with some really rare or really, high-level Pokemon, or some really aggressive Pokemon, and you can't do it in one day, or one in-game day, rather. You're gonna have to make multiple treks out from your village, out multiple scouting missions, before you're actually able to fully get to Mount Coronet. And with it being in the center of the region, that could be the halfway point of the game where all of a sudden 4 or 5 other different regions then expand out from there, and you can go anywhere you want from Mount Coronet because it's the fucking center of the map. And I think that would be really cool for the pacing of the game. You could probably wrap some story elements in there. I don't know, it'd be kind of like this Lord of the Rings thing where like the journey is the point, and I think that could be really fun. The second idea that I have that they definitely won't do is just exploring ruins and other landmarks for new Pokemon and also to learn the history of the region. Now, I don't want to make this seem like they're absolutely not going to have anything like this in the game. From what I can tell, you are going to be exploring certain locations that look like they're ruinous, and they're definitely going to have some unique Pokemon there. However, I don't think that that's going to be the main point of what you're doing. I don't think we're going to have any like Breath of the Wild, like, you know, you're just looking off in the distance, you see something cool, you go to it and you find something. Like, that's not what it's going to be. But it would be cool if that was the case. It'd also be really cool to like tie in the story to the region. I think that that's a brilliant idea that the developers should have taken advantage of, or should be taking advantage. I don't want to discount anything. Part of the allure of this game is just how beautiful the world is, and so exploring it and traversing it, finding new parts of it, that should be satisfying in and of itself. And tying the story into that environment, making the environment part of the journey, part of this main story, that's just like a no-brainer to me. That very easily could get you hooked on that. What I think would be really neat is if you were solving some puzzles, or just the history you're learning sends you to different places that maybe you couldn't even see from certain vantage points, and just tells you hidden secrets, locations, events that happened in the past that kind of interconnect to the point where all of a sudden you're unraveling some dark, ancient, mysterious like curse that leads you to a super powerful like ancient Pokemon that nobody's awoken in centuries. I don't know, I just feel like that could be something really cool. The third cool idea that, again, I don't think that they're gonna be doing in this game is just have people who wanna fuck up the landscape. Have a group of dastardly, devious people come in and they're ruining the environment, you know? You wanna traverse this beautiful place, you wanna see all the beautiful sights, and to have this group come in and trash the place, ruin Pokemon ecosystems, of course you wanna stop them. That's fucking awful. This place is amazing. Why would you do that? So I think it would be really good from an antagonistic point of view. You could even have them be opposed to your towns or teams, like whatever your scouting team is. You could have that group opposed to your goals, so you butt heads a lot. I don't know. That could just be really interesting too. Maybe that will be in the game, but I doubt it. Now, I will say it's entirely possible that they're just kind of saving these huge chunks of information for the game itself. That way nobody's spoiled on it. And there is that possibility. There's always that possibility. I'm just not really getting that vibe from what I've seen so far, and we'll talk about why a little bit later, but I just kind of wanted to throw those ideas out there because I think it could have been really, really cool. Moving on from that, like I said earlier, this gameplay preview does show you a lot of the actual physical tasks that you'll be doing once you're in the game, such as collecting Pokemon, foraging, all that stuff that I mentioned earlier. And all of this, it says that it's there to help you complete your missions, which are the main point of the game. What are those missions? What do they do? Like I said earlier, like if the whole point is just to complete the Pokedex, then the actual act of going out, exploring, and catching Pokemon better be the most satisfying thing I've ever done in my life, because just that by itself, I can guarantee you from what I've seen in the gameplay, it's not going to be enough to satisfy me. I'm going to be feeling empty and bored by probably minute 10. Like some of the cool things are that like the Pokemon will have different temperaments. Like the Bidoof really don't give a shit that you're there. They'll just be like, hey bro, what's going on? The Starly will act like real birds and they'll hop away or fly away from you. They don't want to be near you. They're very skittish. Then there'll be Pokemon like Shinx who will be like, get the fuck off my land, bitch. I'm gonna fucking zap you. And that's really cool. But are those the only three temperaments? And if so, will that kind of get boring after a while? Because I feel like the first time you see it, and especially the animations could be quite charming, but if it's not varied enough, or I don't know, it doesn't remain interesting for a long while, it's not gonna be good. As said previously, you will also be doing some like Pokemon Snap-like activities. You're gonna wanna see like what the Pokemon's diets are, you wanna see what their behaviors are, you wanna find, you know, what items do they carry, you know, just in the wild, which again could be cool, but it's probably just gonna be a very watered down version of Pokemon Snap, and they didn't show any of those activities really happening in the gameplay trailer, so I don't know how fun it will actually be to find it. It could just be you sitting around being like, fucking come on, I need to watch this Pokemon eat an Oranberry. Oh my god, it's been 3 hours and this is all I need. Fuck me, this is stupid. Or it could be really fun. I don't know. I think it's gonna be the first thing though, but it might not be. They also show like basically what the HMs would be in this game. So you can automatically like surf on a Basculin, you can go flying, I think on a Staraptor. I don't remember if that was it, maybe an aviary or... I'm not abreast to some of the new Pokemon, so I'm sorry if I got those names wrong. And you're also going through, I don't know if you can go through like non-snowy areas on the moose thing. God, I'm really out of touch with Pokemon, I'm just now realizing. And all of these are really cool. I really like new traversal methods, especially the flying one. I hope that that's really actually fun to do. I know gliding was one of my favorite things in Breath of the Wild, but this kind of runs the risk of everything I've been talking about so far, where it might just be a very surface level thing that doesn't add a lot of depth to the game. I mean, maybe I'm totally wrong, but it just, I don't know. If nothing else is satisfying, I don't see why that would be. And speaking of the game being satisfying, one of the big draws that I think is pretty clear that they're trying to get through in a lot of the marketing with this is that the region itself is supposed to be fun to explore, and part of that is how the game looks. You want it to be extremely beautiful, and you want to just like look around and be like, wow, this world Hisui, it's just so amazing. I want to go experience it. And this game looks bad. It doesn't look good. It looks like it was made to run on a PS2. Nothing wrong with the PS2. I love that system. It was probably my favorite system when I was a kid. But we are in 2022 now, and Nintendo really is stuck with like PS3, Xbox 360 hardware. And I mean, it's not like games can't look good on it, but the Switch is really, we're pushing the limits of what the Switch can do now. And not only does the game just not look good, for some reason, the frame rates are just all over the place with this game. I'm gonna lead that to like poor optimization on the point of the developers, and we are gonna talk about why all these problems might be coming together a little bit later. But not only is the frame rate bad, but just like I said, this game looks like it could have been made and run on a PS2. The Switch can do better than that. Like, Nintendo's definitely done better. Like, both Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey look awesome. They don't look perfect. I wouldn't necessarily put them on the same level as like the PS4 or the Xbox One. Definitely not the brand new consoles that were just released. But I mean, they're definitely respectable. Like, I have no problem believing that they were made within the last generation of console cycles. This game, if you had told me it was made in like 2008, I would have totally believed you. It's just when one of the main draws of your game is that you want to explore this beautiful land, this beautiful world, and you just can't quite get it to be beautiful. I don't know, it's just, you lose me on that. And I know this is a highly subjective opinion. I know people are going to vehemently disagree with me in the comments, and they're going to take issue with what I say. And that's why I would like to clarify that if you think this looks good, that's fine. It's just that when you compare it to even what we've seen before, 4 or 5 years ago on the Switch, this just doesn't look better than that. And that blows my mind. And that's kind of the point I just wanted to make there. It's really disappointing. All right, so let's switch gears and talk about the battle system now. They showed off a little bit more of it, explained a little bit more than what we had seen before, and I have to ask a couple of questions. Number one being, why is it turn-based? I mean, I know Pokemon has been entirely turn-based for its entire run besides Pokken Tournament, and I want to be perfectly clear. I do not want a real-time battle system. I know a lot of you crazy people are out there asking for it. I do not want to see it. Pokken Tournament is fun as its own game. If that's the entire point of the game, that's fine. I don't want to be controlling real-time Pokemon battles. I don't think that would be a fun time. What I mean more so with my question is, why is the only option for battling turn-based? There's a specific point in the video, about I think 3 minutes in, where they show a Shinx getting mad, you failed to catch it, and so now it wants to battle you. And what you do is you throw out your Pokemon, and all of a sudden the game stops, it halts, and it becomes a turn-based RPG. In theory, no issue with that. In practice, holy fucking shit, the pacing is wild. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip in full, and maybe, hopefully, you will notice the same thing I noticed the first time I watched it.
An aggressive Pokemon that will attack you should they spot you in the wild. If an aggressive Pokemon spots you, or if you fail to catch it on your first sneak attempt, the Pokemon will enter an alert state. In this state, all Pokeballs you throw will simply be deflected by the Pokemon.
Did you catch that? That felt off to me. I think the issue is that it's such a high intensity scenario. Like, you're just running around, you're dodging this Pokemon that's physically attacking you, and it's really cool. It's this kind of action-oriented thing where you got to maneuver your character. You're still trying to catch it, trying to do things, and all of a sudden the movement just stops. It just stops. The entire game screeches to a grinding halt just to bring up a menu battle system where all of a sudden this Pokemon doesn't even really care about you now. I think that's bad. It's really bad pacing. And if this is the way it's going to work with every Pokemon, that's gonna... Oh, I could not deal with that. I would put it down after this one instance of it happening. I'd be like, nah, can't do it. I'm gonna go play something else. Bye. Immediately, I thought of a better system, which would be giving the player a choice between doing a turn-based battle and trying to continue doing what you're doing in real time. The way I thought about giving this player a choice is based on how you throw the Pokeball, and I think this could be really cool. Imagine instead of just automatically throwing a Pokeball and it goes into a turn-based battle system, what if you just threw the Pokeball randomly without really aiming it, just kind of tossed it in the general vicinity of that Shinx or that Pokemon that you're trying to catch. The Pokemon came out of the Pokeball, but it was automated. You're still running around, you're still controlling your character, and the Pokemon just kind of fights on your behalf. The Shinx can still focus on you, but your Pokemon can distract it by using its moves, or possibly maybe even you have like button commands like with LNR telling it like what kind of attacks to use, whether it be offensive, defensive, distract, I don't know. There's so many, there's a ton of options where you can just like communicate with your Pokemon like that, which still gives you the chance to, maybe maneuver around, annoy the Pokemon, and then throw a Pokeball at it when it's not paying attention, gives you an opening to still catch it like that. Or instead of just, randomly tossing the Pokeball in the vicinity of the Pokemon that you're trying to catch, if you like scope in, for lack of a better word, if you like zoom in and you actually like aim where you toss the Pokeball, and if you hit the Pokemon you're looking to catch with the Pokeball, then that specifically initiates the turn-based battle system. And another very important thing there, the transition should be quick. This is a very slow transition to the turn-based battle system, and I think I know why. I think it's just to make sure that nothing screws up at, camera-wise, actor-wise, as things transition to that, make sure the placements are all right. But that transition should be basically instant. It should feel seamless. Right now, it does not feel seamless. But the reason I think this kind of system is important is because it would give the player full control over the flow of the game. Right now, as it stands, the player has no choice. If they fail to catch the Pokemon, they have to go into this slow-ass battle system, which I'm not a fan of. Right now, as it stands, the player has no choice in the flow or pacing of the game. They kind of are forced to enter into this slower version battle system, whether they like it or not. And I think that that's a huge issue, again, mainly with the pacing. And by the way, you did hear me right. You are forced to battle as a last resort. They specifically say that if you fail to catch the Pokemon, either just like regularly, or if a sneak catch fails, then you straight up can't catch the Pokemon. You have to battle it in order to catch it, which that's not great. What if people don't like the battle system? Like, I probably won't. What if the player wants to stay in the moment and stay in that real-time zone? Like, there's no counterplay to that. Just that one or maybe two mistakes kind of screws you, and there's no way to play around that. You're either gonna, if you're like me, reset, or just put the game down and not play it because you're not having a good time. I would highly recommend people check out this video by Game Maker's Toolkit about playing past your mistakes. It goes through all the reasons why game developers usually give the player tons of opportunities to backtrack through the mistakes that they made without resetting or changing the state of the game. That way, the player can play past their mistakes. Ideally, in this scenario, the player should be able to go back into the ball catching phase without being forced to go into the battle stage if they don't want to. The player should have as many options to them as desired, and this system seems not great because it doesn't do that. Hey, this is Editing Finch here. So, looks like my camera stopped filming at 28 minutes, even though it told me that it had 43 minutes of space available. I do not know why this happened, and I do greatly apologize. I'm gonna try to find a solution that's interesting. So, I'm sorry that there's no face cam for the rest of this video, but you can still listen to my opinions. I guess this is a podcast now, so Yeah, hey, I mean, at least you don't have to look at my fucking zit anymore, am I right? Anyway, sorry about the technical glitches. Let's get on with this, shall we? Now, as far as the new battle system is actually concerned, they did add some new stuff, which I think is pretty cool. You can now have access to strong attacks and agile attacks. The agile attacks are weaker, but they give you, I think, an extra move, or give you the likelihood of getting an extra move, which might help you kill your opponent or knock out your opponent quicker that way. If that's something that, you got a speedy Pokemon, you could work with that. The other option is to do more damage at the cost of speed. So you might lose a turn and get hit twice in a row next time. And in theory, this is pretty cool. In practice, again, I think it's going to lead to dominant strategy, where either there's always a right answer, so it's not interesting and it's not tactical, or it's going to be useless, so nobody ever uses this system. But, I mean, from what I saw, what's stopping people from just using an agile attack, gaining an extra move, and then immediately following up with a strong attack, knocking the other Pokemon out? I mean, maybe you don't always want to knock the other Pokemon out, but like, that just seems like a glaring flaw to me. The system seems like it's a little too simple for what they're trying to accomplish. I think it runs the real possibility of detracting from the game instead of adding the extra depth I think they're hoping it will. A couple of other issues that I saw that could arise, the dying mechanic. I might have, I think I assumed this incorrectly. At first I thought that when you die, you kind of just drop a bunch of items and money or whatever where you were in the world, and after you black out, you have to go back to that spot to recover those items. Kind of like you would in Dark Souls. But I don't think that's actually right. Upon my second watch of the video, I think you just straight up lose those items. I could be wrong. I hope it's the first system. The Dark Souls drop system, I think, is one of the most flawless systems ever made, and that more games should use that kind of a system. But I don't think that they're doing that. I think this is going to be, you lose items. And two things about that. One, it's either going to be just punishing enough, in which case you better be able to move exactly how you want to in the game. Like, movement with your character should be very fluid. It should be extremely easy, intuitive, fun, really amazing. Because if it's not, if it's very clunky, very slow, you don't have full control over what your character is doing, or there's some frames where like you stumble, or just the input delay is just, it makes it impossible, or like you don't speed up really quick, like you start off walking really slow, or it takes a second for you to roll. Like, if there's any kind of thing like that, this is going to be the most frustrating penalty system in the world, because it's not going to feel like it was your fault that you died. You're going to blame the game because it's too slow. And I've definitely had my fair share of experiences like that in games before, and ooh, I cannot deal with that. The other very real possibility is that it's not going to be punishing at all, and it's just going to be kind of annoying. People aren't going to be worried about dying because they're going to be dropping some berries that they now have to go forage for again. They're just going to be upset that they're sent back to the village and just keep on going, and it's not really going to be all that punishing, just annoying. Alright, I know I've bashed on this game pretty hard so far, so let's just run through the last couple of issues that I have with this game, and I promise we'll be done. I'll tell you about my conclusion and we'll go from there, okay? Stick with me a little longer. Customization! It fucking blows. It's the exact same system that they've had since X and Y, and I fucking hate it. It is so behind the times, there's no excuse for it. Literally every other game has a better customization system than Pokemon does, and I just do not understand why they can't get a hold of it. Either make a good customization system or fucking cut it. I don't care. I don't want a mediocre customization system. I'm probably not going to use it anyway if it's mediocre. Just get it out, cut it, and focus your attention on something that actually could use it. There it is. That's probably the harshest opinion in this video, but I think it's going to be the one everybody agrees with. I will say though, the bosses in the game, the noble Pokemon that you fight, those seem like they could be pretty cool. They're basically the main bosses of the game with huge health bars, and apparently the system looks like it's going to be having you chuck balls or fruit or just annoying things at it to get its health down to the point where then you can initiate a miniature like turn-based battle with it to deal damage to it to where you go back into the other phase again. It could be really cool, but again, I think the pacing of the game is going to be the worst with this one. If it's not fluid dipping in and out of each phase between turn-based and real-time, it's not going to be fun. And also, I don't know how deep the mechanics are going to get. It just seems like you chuck things at it, and then you fight, and then you chuck things, and then you fight, while just avoiding attacks while you chuck things. So Again, I think it's going to come down to, as far as how fun that section is, how fun throwing things is, and how fun the movement is, which, again, tied into that last thing that I talked about, where, you better be able to move in this game how you want to, otherwise it's just not going to be an enjoyable time, especially in a game where a lot of it is just exploring around. Movement should be fun in those kinds of games. It's why I like Apex Legends, and yes, Breath of the Wild. All in all, this game, from what I can tell, from what everything I've seen so far, it just kind of feels half-finished, if I'm being honest. It seems like the fans were asking for a Breath of the Wild type game from Pokemon, and they wanted to deliver, but it just didn't come through for whatever reason. I actually don't know what studio worked on this. I'm going to try to find an editing and I'll put it up. I think it was the main team, but I do have two things I want to talk about regarding whoever made this game. And it doesn't really matter if it was, the main team or secondary team, because I think it's the same issue either way. Pokemon has been doing yearly releases, since like 2012 maybe earlier? Like, that's a lot. Recently, they've been doing 2 games a year, because last year we got Pokemon Snap and the Diamond and Pearl remakes. Then this year we're getting Legends Arceus, maybe a 3rd game, I don't know, but definitely we're getting the next generation of like either Sword and Shield sequel or just straight up new versions that we haven't seen before. Like 1 game a year is hard enough. Fucking 2? Fuck me, that's impossible. You remember back, I think it was around like 2014, when people got really pissed off at Ubisoft for making an Assassin's Creed game every year because it kept degrading in quality, because there's just absolutely no way you could keep making quality games at that output. Yeah, I think Pokemon's been there. They've been there for a while. I have a whole video that I'm making about my thoughts on just Pokemon in general, which hopefully I'll get to you guys sometime, before summer. But like, this is probably Pokemon's main issue. Either if the main team was developing this game, they had stretched themselves way too thin because they've been working on this plus the new game. There's absolutely no way enough time was devoted to this game given the amount of resources needed for the regular mainline entry. Or if they handed it off to a second studio, kind of like what they did with Diamond and Pearl, likely it was a team who'd never made a game of this scale before, who'd never handled the Pokemon franchise, and just were kind of in over their head in what they had to do. Because the expectations of making a Pokemon game are so fucking high. It's ridiculous. There's so much riding on the success of any one Pokemon game that I wouldn't blame them for just kind of cracking under that kind of pressure. Especially because there's so much merch, cards, TV shows, like you name it, a lot of stuff is attached to each Pokemon release. There's probably very little wiggle room on the release date, so if your scope is not set absolutely perfectly early on in development, if your schedule isn't set, you can't complete everything in time, you're just kind of fucked, and that sucks. I kind of feel like that's what happened with this game. Like they had a bunch of really cool, really interesting new ideas for the series, and they kind of chucked them all together, made like a gameplay demo to see how it felt, kind of started crafting the world, and then the deadline came, and they were like, fuck. Like I've been saying throughout this entire video though, it's entirely possible that I am 100% wrong on this. It's entirely possible that Nintendo is just being incredibly smart and just not divulging any info because they want us to be surprised and delighted when we play the game. Like I said though, given how much information they have shared about the game, I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of what they've shown is actually a majority of the game. I haven't seen any reason to believe that there's anything deeper here that we could be missing. I am leaving fully open the possibility that I'm wrong, and if I am, please do me a favor and tell me in the comments below that I shouldn't be this negative in the future, because I will wholly own up to that if that's the case. I also don't mean, like I said in the beginning, I also don't mean to disparage anybody who's excited about this game, and if after it comes out you happen to love it, you are totally fine doing that. I'm not saying that you're wrong. Everybody's feelings are valid and subjective. Just because I am not excited for something or think that it's going to be bad, or even if I just, I'm right and I'm not going to like the game, that doesn't mean that you can't. I'm just telling you all the reasons why I think I won't like it, or why I think it's going to be bad, or what I would like to see done better about it. Who knows, maybe I will actually review the game in full after it comes out. But we'll just have to see. I'll also have to gauge how, what the response to this video is. But I think that about wraps it up. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was probably pretty long, but hey, YouTube likes watch time now, so make sure you click that like button too, because, engagement. And if you didn't like the video, the dislike button is there, but only I can see the dislike, so that's just for me. If you want to see my initial reactions to Legends Arceus, you can actually go ahead and watch this video right here that I did back when that released. Actually, I think it was, it is last year now that I remember. Now that I remember. I was gonna say earlier this year, but it is 2022. I remember reacting to it in 2021, so go ahead and check that out just to see how much my opinions have changed. And also my set. I'm not filming over where that video was filmed anymore, so. And if you want to see something more highly produced, I highly recommend this video that I just released, at the tail end of last year, about Five Nights at Freddy's, delving into what made the jump scare so good, what's so cool about it. Yeah, I hope you enjoy that if you're a fan of that kind of thing. Oh, and of course, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Donate to my Patreon, all that stuff. I'll see you when I have more opinions to share, or when that other Pokemon video that I was talking about is done. Or maybe it's canceled and I'm doing something else. That's also a real possibility. But anyways, thank you so much for watching through this video. I love you, stay safe, get vaccinated, and I'll see you in the next video, alright? Bye!